principle of communication, how the communication actually works. So let me just start off from that point onward. Uh, all right. So if you remember, this is where we actually ended our discussion with that. First, we started off with what do you mean by communication? And in that, I told you that it is a process of establishing a connection between two nodes or more or two or more nodes, and where we do the information exchange. And also in light of that, I have drawn this particular diagram to show you that how the information, which can be of any kind, like an image, it can be an audio, it can be a video, it can be a thought, it can be a pattern, whatever you call them. So this information needs to be transported from one point to another. And since we cannot send the raw data, okay, we cannot send the raw data over the wired or wireless channels, that is a medium that we are talking about. So we need some kind of an encoding or modulation, or in general terms, a processing. Now, why we can't do that is what the study is going to be today, as well as we will explain a little bit also on the transmission via channels, because ideally, I think you won't be too familiar with this term. So we will do that one by one. But after that, what we discuss is that whatever we received at the receiver, we will try to extract the information out of it, like the different parameters which we usually have in terms of bit error rate or quality of service. Some of these terms are very common to communication engineering. So these parameters we will gather, and based on the parameter, we will kind of send a feedback to the input system once again, so that a kind of a controlling action takes place. All right, so this is what we had studied on last day's class, along with the rubrics and everything. So let us quickly start off with the sections. This is what we actually had discussed. So this is where we will start off. So these are the several things which is there in the first module. So just to brief you on the first module, what we are going to learn. So first is the modulation and need for modulation. But before we reach to this point, we need to understand the elements of communication systems, some basic preliminary that you need to know about the communication systems. Then only we can move ahead. Then we'll go for types of modulation and amplitude modulation. Then the frequency spectrum of amplitude modulation. Don't get confused, don't get frightened. These are all very simple terms. I'll explain you one by one as and when we come to that. Naturally, we need to understand the power in AM signal. If you remember, I told you that the power factor is a very, very important factor when we talk about any of the communication system. I told you, I think, one example where when we are purchasing a mobile device, we are very much concerned about the battery life, whether it will be it will have a longevity of around 2 days or 3 days without even charging. What is the talk hours, like when you are talking, what will be the duration of the stay, like that. So power is a very important factor for any communication medium. That's we will just discuss. Then we come to the generation of AM, that is a transmitter. That if I design an amplitude modulation transmitter, then how we are going to generate it. For that, we have two examples: square law modulator and switching modulator. And finally, we will come to know that how the demodulation will take place. So all this will be clear by this diagram. Okay, please take a close look at this, and then it will be very, very clear to all of you what we are talking about. Now, if you observe closely, the one that I had shown you last day as well, the same thing is repeated over here, except that here a little bit more terms and methodology has been used, and in a more generic way. So for example, you can see the information source is the portion that I told you already about the voice, text, or video, etc. Okay. Now we need some transducer, input transducer. Transducer is nothing but something which converts an energy from one point to another, or one source to another. So you can see we can have a microphone, just like we are using the headphones right now. So we are listening to, I am talking to you over the microphone. You are listening to my words using the earphone, whatever you have. So that's an audio that you are getting, right? If the webcam was on, you could have seen me, okay? From my webcam to your webcam. So that is also catch. So video camera. So all these are the inputs, okay? The sensors that it is taking the input from the end user. For example, if you are taking, if you are observing, like in a medical science, suppose a patient needs to get monitored, okay, every now and then the heart rate needs to get monitored. So how will you do that? You will have some kind of a machine which is fitted to the patient, okay, and the patient details are is being shown in a display, be it in the numbers or be it in some graph, and that is what the input transducer does. Right. So this is basically the input source. But the problem that comes in is that if I'm locally looking at that data, that's fine for me. But when you want to transmit this data, because this is the third term that you're looking at, when you are transmitting, hopefully all of you are here and all of you are listening to this. If you're looking at the transmitter, this is where the exact part of processing part of communication system comes in. Because you can observe these terms, I don't know how many of you have heard this before, but modulation, coding, amplification, filtering, all these processing units or all these processing elements will come one by one while you are transmitting the signal. Now, what is modulation is what our study is in the next subsequent slide. So we are not going to discuss much over here, but I would just like to just mention these two terms, amplification and filtering, because from the term itself, you can understand that amplification is a process in which the signal may be boosted. Okay, that maybe it's a weak signal and it's getting boosted up to reach to the destination. Just like, for example, I am talking over here. Okay, and now suppose I talk in a very small, in a very feeble voice. Will you be able to understand or will you be able to listen to my words? No. So naturally, what is happening in my voice, the voice box, whatever we call it, that has a modulation. Okay, we are amplifying the speech, we are controlling, we are modulating our speech, and that is being shared with you, and that's why it is recognizable to you all of you. And naturally, what we want is that while we are doing this amplification of information, it should not amplify the noise as well. Now, what is noise? For example, if you are listening to my words right now, I actually have a fan which is running just on top of me, okay? And it has a sound. Now, what I heard in the previous day's recording that the noise of this fan is very, very feeble, and I can't really comprehend that is that a fan or anything else. So the example is basically why I'm giving you this, that the filtering action is ideally to cancel out, okay, all this unnecessary noise. Okay. I guess all of you are pretty aware of the speakers or the headphones that you people use. In that, it will be clearly mentioned noise cancellation device or noise cancellation of this standard, like that. So basically, noise cancellation, that is nothing but kind of a filtering where the specific frequency range will be allowed to pass, and the rest of the frequencies which are noise to the device will be filtered out. All right. So this is basically the transmitting side. If this you are looking at, this whole thing you are talking about the transmitter. This is the transmitter section. Okay. In short, we usually refer to as TX in communication engineering. Now, naturally, you can imagine that this transmitter side, whatever it transmits, okay, this will be detected somewhere over here. So this whole segment is my receiver, okay, including the information destination and the output transmission. All this is receiver for us, and it does exactly the opposite work which was done in transmitter. So you can observe that here in the receiver, we will have something like a demodulation, de-amplification. It should be a de-amplification, decoding. Okay. Loudspeaker can be a source of it, just like the earphone that you are having. So those are the output. input is my mic, which I am talking to. Output for your end is the loudspeaker or the headphone that you are having. Okay, so those things, or even someone might have just connected the laptop without any earphone. So in that case, the loudspeaker, the speakers in the device will be acting as the output transistor. And finally, we are getting the information determined. Now you can imagine, just imagine the thing that if suppose we are not processing the source, processing the information, what would have happened? That I would have told, I would have gone on talking something to you. Okay, you would receive or you would heard something else at the receiver. Okay, I'm talking about the basic elements of communication system and the details about it. You might be learning something else, or learning, or rather hearing something else, if the communication system, this end-to-end communications that we are doing. So this, in my case, I am over here. Okay, I am actually speaking over this microphone, and you are actually getting a knowledge about using the headphone. Okay, so this is, I am the transmitter at this point, and you people are the receiver. And in between, there are n number of processing that is going on to ensure that the transmitter, that is me, and the receiver, that is you, are actually at the same page, and we are receiving the same information. Okay, or rather, you are all getting the same information. All right, so that is the beauty of communication engineering and why we actually require communication, the knowledge of this subject in any field for that matter. Okay. Similarly, the last portion of the block in this case will be the channel. Okay, I told you a little bit on the channel on last day's class itself that when we were a little back, like around that 2000 or 1996, 2000, early 2000, landline telephone was a very common thing, common household practice. I think very few of you might be having a landline connection right now, because most of us will have a mobile devices. Okay, so that is basically the medium through which we are trying to communicate. Just like now, I am sitting over in Vellore through a Wi-Fi, which is a wireless service again, and I am connected to all of you who are residing in different parts of India or even outside, I don't know. So all of you are getting connected through the single process of wireless communication. That is basically the role of the channel or the medium. Okay. Now it can be many types. For example, as I said, it can be free space. Okay, don't look into this because we don't have that much of detail on this. We have a wired line connection, which is basically the wired connection we call it. We can have an optical fiber. I guess all of you are using a very high speed internet or broadband. For that, the optical fiber is a must. Okay, coaxial cable. I think all of you are very familiar with coaxial cables, which is used in very normal household purpose. Twisted pair. I think all of you are connected to maybe a modem or something like that with your computer. In those cases, twisted pair is important. So like that, there are different mediums, different space, different ways in which the transmitter and the receiver is connected through the channel. So channel is the bridge. Okay, channel is the bridge through which the transmitter and the receiver is getting connected. But naturally, what happens is that the channel is the sole responsible for adding lots of like error in the transmission. As you can observe here, that it will add to some kind of a noise. Just carefully observe. It will add some kind of a noise. It might add some interference. We will see that later, not needed. In fact, if time permits, we'll go into this. We can have some kind of a propagation loss. Okay? You will be amazed. Actually, that is the study of wireless and mobile communication, which is another subject which is there in the course at some point of time. But this is how it goes. Okay. Similarly, we can have frequency, selectivity, and other necessary parameters. So these are all the inherent problems of a channel. Okay. So we need a channel. Definitely, we will need a channel. Otherwise, the transmitter cannot reach the receiver. But the channel will definitely introduce the noise factor, the interferences factor, okay, or the undue things which are not necessarily needed for a transmitter. And all those jumbled up things will come to the receiver. So naturally, the job of receiver is very important because it has to undergo all this process, like the one I've just now I'm making a box, very, very important processing so that the received signal is cleaned out of all the necessary noises or interferences that has crept in to the transmitted signal. Okay, so hopefully this is clear with the communication system, the build up to the communication system, how it is being used. Any doubt in this? Can you, if you want, you can just clarify over here. Uh, anyone, having any doubt? I'll just wait for 1 minute. If anyone having any doubt with this example that I have given over here, all of you have joined. 31 odd people have joined. So is there any doubt in this communication system? Anyone? Can I ask anyone a question so that we can understand this? Okay, let me just ask one or two maybe. Haripriya, are you there? Haripriya?
Yeah, so
Yeah. Haripriya, can you tell me what is the role of the channel?
so all of the channel you can use twisted or twisted fibers, use coaxial cables for connections.
Between? How do you, what is the role of the, I'm not talking about the kinds of channel. I'm asking about what is the role of channel for us
It's
at a communication medium or a communication system in a communication system.
it's used for connection between the
Basically, it's a,
transmitter and the receiver.
absolutely.
Often it's the
Between
control.
transmitter and receiver, you are actually making a connection out of it. Good. I have with I think Fatima, are you there? Fatima?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Fatima, I have a question for you that what is the problems, what are the problems rather associated with channels, okay, irrespective of what kind of channels you are using, that that you can think of.
Yes, sir. So it adds to noises, interference,
Correct.
propagation loss, frequency selectivity, and time variation.
What it will do eventually, then if suppose these are all correct and it adds up to the transmitted signal, so it will distort the transmitted signal. All right, so this all adds to the transmitted signal, hence the receiver will not be able to exactly detect that which one is the correct information and which one is the redundant or unwanted information. So that is the basic problem that the channel offers. Good answer. That is the problem that is offered by channel. So we cannot eliminate channel. We have to take into account some kind of a channel, but eventually those things will be added a problem. It's a headache itself. All right. So we'll discuss that if time permits later on at some point other. So now, so this is what we had discussed for the time being. So let us see some of the basic concepts, okay, leading towards the discussion of the other concepts that we are looking at. So the first thing is the, yeah, that maybe I'll write it this way. So the first thing that we come into mind is the representation of a signal. Okay, because I am assuming that you are not fully familiar of by the means of signal, because if you talk about information, okay, any information that is whatever it is the form of signal. Like the one that I'm talking now, it's a voice signal. Okay, the one that you are listening to is an audio signal, voice signal, audio signal. Okay, if you are visualizing something, it's a video that you are looking at, that's also a video signal. So it's a signal. So in general, that's a signal. So it has some property, it has some fundamental rules which we need to know. Okay, so that is coming under some basic concepts. All right. So the first thing that we need to understand, I'll do one thing. I'll write it over here so that it stays with you. So the first thing that we need to mind is the bandwidth. Let me just talk about a little bit on the bandwidth. Okay. So bandwidth, I might do one thing. 1 minute. I'll just write it over here for our own convenience. All right, so please make a note of this. So what is mean by bandwidth? Because this all will be very important as we go ahead forward with the other modules. Okay, so bandwidth is a portion. I'll write it the definition itself. Okay, bandwidth is the portion, sorry, is the portion of spectrum. I'll explain one by one. Occupied by a signal. Okay, so bandwidth is the portion of spectrum occupied by a signal. As I said, the signal can be anything. If I consider a voice signal, let it be a voice signal for us for the time being. So it is the range of frequency, okay, of over which the signal is transmitted. So it is the range of frequency. Please make a note of this range of frequency. I'll explain you with the diagram. Range of frequency over which the signal is transmitted. Now, what exactly is meant by it? Let's draw a diagram. So very simply, one example is here. So suppose this is my frequency axis. Hopefully all of you are aware of the graph and the x and the y axis. So this A is nothing but the amplitude. Okay, amplitude of the signal, whatever the constant value it might be having or whatever. So in this, suppose I have a frequency band of like this, displayed like this, where this is equal to f1 of 20 hertz and this is f2 which is 15 kilohertz. Okay, so hopefully you know about the frequency and the unit of frequency and so on. So this is hertz and this is 15 kilohertz. So this is the space in which the signal, whatever, suppose it's a music signal, is being transmitted. Now this is what we call also as the spectrum. Okay, just like we have the light spectrum and all, spectrum is a spread basically. Okay, so it's a frequency domain, we call it, because it's the x-axis is in frequency, or if this frequency is instead of frequency, if I consider this in the, if I represented it in terms of time, then we would call it as a time domain signal. Anyway, let's leave out that part. So suppose this is there, so the bandwidth is nothing but this part. Okay, so it is the range of frequency. See here, the range of frequency over which the signal is transmitted. So in this example, okay, the bandwidth, if I calculate, try to calculate, this will be 15 kilohertz. So I convert it to hertz minus 20 hertz. So this is around 14,980 hertz. So for this particular example, the bandwidth should be calculated as 14980. Okay, now for example, in some of the other example that you might have, the common example that you can have is the voice signal bandwidth. Suppose the voice signal bandwidth, this is almost equivalent to around 300 to 3400 hertz. Okay, something like this. This is the total range I'm talking about. Or for example, if I take another example like TV signal, the one that you are all, I'm giving example where you can relate. So like the TV signal, this is around 0.0 to 5 megahertz range. So basically, if I consider the bandwidth for TV signal will be around 5 megahertz. All right, so you can observe that basically what I mean is that by this bandwidth, okay, it is basically showing us the occupancy of each and every frequency band. Now, this is only one signal I'm talking about. Now, if suppose there are multiple such frequency, multiple such signals which are present, which is quite obvious. Okay, as you know, from the very fact you can very commonly understand this, like you are having one mobile phone. Okay, your parents will have two or multiple mobile phones maybe. Okay, and in your neighborhood there are so many people, everyone is having a device and everyone has a mobile phone. Okay, now whenever you are connected by the phone, okay, when you are trying to make a call or you are receiving a call, basically that's a transmitter receiver that you are looking at. All right. So all this should be done, like this transmission and the reception should happen within a fixed bandwidth of the channel. Am I understandable? So if the bandwidth is scarce, if the bandwidth is less, then naturally there will be a congestion that might result. So we will always try to find a bandwidth efficient system wherever we are going to develop anything. I guess all of you are very familiar with the 3G spectrum, 4G spectrum, 5G auction. Okay, the spectrum auctions which goes on in it comes in newspapers and all, where the vendors usually bid for the bandwidth. Okay, so that bandwidth is some bandwidth. Suppose the company A will purchase that bandwidth. They will purchase it from the TRAI, which is the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. So they will purchase that bandwidth. Suppose this 14980 hertz of bandwidth that you are looking at. So suppose this one they will purchase. What they will do, they will accommodate multiple such bandwidth, small bandwidth. They will break this bandwidth into smaller segments, something like this, and all those small bandwidths will be accommodated or will be used to the end user as and when required. All right, so this is the details of it is not, it's beyond the scope of this class, and I can't go beyond it. But if you are interested, you can definitely come and reach me. I can enlighten you in that. But ideally, this is what the bandwidth is all about. Now let us quickly go back to the earlier diagram that we had actually over here. And if I have a signal like this, all right. So we have a signal something of this nature. Suppose this is again another any random signal, and it is an amplitude analog signal for that matter, because it's continuous. I'll come to that later. But this is also a similar representation. Now, if you observe here, this is where the frequency is mentioned over here. Let's see the frequency. If I define it, okay, if I define it, frequency, this is nothing but the number of cycles of waveform, okay, per second. So this is a time factor. So you can observe that this is basically given by the time period. If you observe closely that this segment, I'm just trying to draw it, this segment till this point, this segment, okay, this is actually repeating over here as well. And similarly, it goes on to the next segment as well. So frequency is the number of cycles of waveform for a particular waveform per second, and that is given by the definition of frequency. Similarly, we can also say the wavelength, which is lambda. Okay, this is nothing but C by F. Please keep a note of this C by F. It will be very handy in few slides. So lambda, or the wavelength, so we will call it the wavelength of the signal. Okay, so this is C by F. It is nothing but the distance between, those who already know it, it's fine, but still I'll keep it for everyone to understand. Distance between 2 points, okay, of similar cycle of periodic wave. Now there are many words here, but you can ignore few of them. For example, the periodic time, the cycle, and all those things you can ignore for the time being. But ideally, frequency and lambda. Lambda is nothing but the wavelength, which is given by, its physical meaning is the distance between 2 points of a similar cycle. Okay, so that will be given by the wavelength. Okay, so this is a signal, as I can understand, and the signal will also always have an amplitude. Okay, so suppose I draw a signal something like this. Okay, so it will always have an amplitude something like this. So this amplitude is also a factor involving a signal, very important and crucial, because this amplitude variation is what we are going to do for the amplitude modulated signal, in fact. Okay, and also along with that, we can have also a phase part, which I'm not going at this point. But ideally, a signal will always have 3 components. Please understand and remember or note it down if you want. One is the amplitude. Okay, I'm writing right hand side. One is the frequency, and the next part is the phase. So always a signal will have an amplitude or a frequency and a phase as well. Okay, now we need to work around these three parameters in some way or the other so that we can get hold of the signal. We tend to know about what the signal is providing us with the information of. All right, so this is basically the representation of the signal that we are familiar with. Hopefully this is understandable to all of you with respect to the representation of a signal, the basic understanding of frequency. What is frequency? The repetition of the same, the number of cycles it is going on repeating it. Lambda is the wavelength. Bandwidth, I told you just right now, bandwidth is also the frequency spectrum or the two frequency band over which the frequency lies. And finally, also we have observed that the amplitude is also a factor of any signal along with the phase, which also might vary accordingly. Okay, so this is basically the representation of the signal. Coming to the classification of the communication system with respect to the channels. Already I told you what is the role of channel and what are the different types of channel. This is again just same elaboration of the same. You can see the telephone channel. I have already given you an example of coaxial cable, the LAN cable that I told you, optical fiber for fast internet of around 45 Mbps to 9.6 Gbps, and that is basically the future of internet connectivity. Coming to the free propagation, which is categorized into wireless or satellite phones or mobile radio channel. So these are the different type of wireless scenario where you don't need any end-to-end connection, wired physical connection. It will be all into some kind of a virtual, or I would say it's an invisible connection amongst all. For example, this diagram, if you observe, I've just thought of showing you this just to give you a little insight. So this is your device. All right. So this is your mobile phone. It is basically capturing multiple such signals. You can see one is coming directly from this base station. We call it the base station. OK, I guess the base stations are pretty much familiar to all of you because you have seen in your neighborhood home or house in top floor in the roof, they will have some antenna mounted. OK, so those are basically the base stations I'm talking about. So those base stations are direct path. So this is the direct signal we are coming. Along with that, some of the interfered or reflected signals also might come in. Okay, some scattered signals might come in. So these are the different ways the channel will actually introduce the noise in the receiving signal. I guess this is now, I guess it will be clear. So this will be a noise. Okay, this can be a noise. Okay, can be a noise. This can be a noise. So all this noise gets added up in the receiver. So your receiver needs to be sophisticated enough to nullify all this noise signal. All right, so that is the point. Similarly, when we come to classification of communication in terms of nature of communication, the way it is being we are usually doing it. The one of the easiest way of doing it is the classification is based on the direction in which we are doing. Okay, so it is something like in terms of the unidirectional and bidirectional communication, which involves a simplex system. Okay, sorry. Okay, so simplex system, I guess all of you know the example, but you don't know how it works. But basically, the simplex system is nothing but a one-way system. Just remember this. For your case, it's only this one is required. It's a one-way communication. For example, you are watching a TV. Okay, a satellite is sending it to a station. The station is rerouting it to your TV. So that's it. It's not that you can play something in the TV and you can send it to the base station, which will go back to the satellite. That's not the case. It's only a one-way traffic. Okay, information transmitted by any telemetry system, for example, satellites and all, to the Earth. That is basically what we are looking at as a simplex system. Very simple in process. Coming to the half duplex system, which is two-way, but it is not simultaneously. So I'll just write it over here, both way, but not simultaneously. What does that mean? I guess all of you have at least have seen or at least have heard the term called walkie-talkie. where people usually will call and then wait for the other person to call back. For your case, it's a very common example. When you come to VIT, the security guards will have a walkie-talkie with their handheld device, and they will call from main gate to the front gate. Okay, something like that. They will communicate among themselves using the walkie-talkie. So that's a short range, both way communication, but not simultaneously. Only one way, and then we will say wait for the other one to turn it. So single channel being used multiple times. Okay, so that's basically half duplex. And the more of the conventional full duplex, basically this is where the mobile devices comes in. You can easily understand this as an example from the example point of view, that we can talk together. Okay, at any point of time, there is no such hard and fast rule that someone needs to talk first and the other will be waiting for the turn to come in. So full duplex is basically both way all the time. So this is both way all the time. Okay, so that is one of the nature of communication. That's the classification based on the nature. The other classification that comes in is a different, another nature of information of the signal. Okay, nature of the information signal means either the information can be analog in nature or the signal can be digital in nature. Okay, as we all understand that from the point of view of a layman, if I consider analog signal, rather digital signal, if I consider this will only be constituting of either ones or zeros. I guess the digital signal or digital system is pretty much known to all of you. Okay, digital system is nothing but ones and zero, transmission of ones and zero. Okay, binary data that we are talking about. In case of analog transmission, it will be a continuous. It won't be a 1 and 0. Okay, and it has several other advantages, like the analog way of transmission will always have lots of noise affecting the signal. And as I said already, that noise should be eliminated. It is not at all a good process. That's why you will find that most of the modern day device, everything is digitalized. Everything is digitalized. You will find that the HD channels which you watch in TVs also, they are also digital in nature. Okay, the clarity of the photo, the clarity of the TV transmission has also drastically changed because of the digitalization of the pictures. Okay, you will have the digital camera. I guess you will, or you, I don't know whether you have seen the analog cameras or the other thing, anything of that sort. But we now have digital cameras that are very cheap, very affordable, and it takes a lot of less space. That's why the single memory card can hold so many photos together. It's a wonderful innovation, this digital system, right? So that is how the nature of communication changes from analog to digital. We'll come to the specific segment of analog digital later on. Now coming to the other part is the technique of transmission. Okay. Now in the technique of transmission, we usually have two sets of process. One is called as the baseband transmission. The other one is the communication using modulation. So this is the first time we are actually trying to differentiate something. So the first thing is the baseband transmission over here. Okay, so what is exactly baseband transmission? I'll just write it down maybe here. Baseband transmission is nothing but the input signal. Okay, the raw input signal. I would write in this way. It is the raw input signal. I'm not categorizing the signal. It can be any signal for that matter. Okay, or the information that in general we are talking about. Any information that can have an electrical equivalent signal. So basically, it should always have an amplitude. It should have a frequency. It will have a bandwidth. It will have a lambda wavelength. Okay, all these things will be there. So that's a raw input signal. So if I happens to just draw a spectrum like this, so just imagine this way. So this is my FM. Okay, suppose this is my spectrum that I'm looking at. So 0 to FM. So this is basically what we are talking about as the baseband signal. Okay, this is a base signal. But naturally, it has some problem for which we need to communicate using the modulation. Okay, so this modulation signal, and why do we need to have a band pass signal? We usually call this as a band pass signal. Band pass signal also. So we usually, when we looking at the communication using modulation, it has a certain inherent advantage. Okay, so what can be the advantage? The basic advantage is that when we are looking at this baseband transmission, where the frequency of operation is significantly low, okay, you will have certain problems associated with the system. Okay, the designing of the system. Okay, just let me just give you an example for that. Just we'll end up on that note. So suppose I have the baseband signal. Okay, so baseband signal has some frequencies there, suppose, but the frequency will be significantly low. Okay, so baseband signal, the criteria is the frequency is low. Now there is a very common rule of thumb that usually is applied to communication system, that the height of, please make a note, height of the transmitted antenna. Okay, this I'll come just a little after this slide, maybe I'll just introducing right now. So this should be equal to lambda by 4. This is a common rule of thumb to get a proper transmission going. Usually we'll have lambda by 4. Already I've defined lambda as the wavelength in the earlier slide. So this should be the case. Now again in lambda, we know that is equal to C by F. So basically this is what we are getting. Okay, simple. Now if it is a baseband signal, the frequency is low. That means this part is low. F is low. Please follow me carefully. Since in baseband the frequency is low, this F is again low. If this is low, naturally what will happen? The height of the transmitter antenna will be significantly higher. Now, as an engineer, you should build some antenna which is humongously high is not possible. That's a physical constraint on building up such a big, huge antenna. It's not. All right, so that is one of the reason and the biggest reason why we need a modulation to go. Now, why we need a modulation and what is the role of modulation, we might be discussing next day. But just for the time being, you understand that the baseband will always be of having low frequency, and that's why we will have to have a very humongous, practical size of antenna, height of the antenna, which is not possible. For example, if I consider an example, like suppose this F that you're looking at, suppose we have a 10 kilohertz of frequency. Okay, suppose this is 10 kilohertz. If this is 10 kilohertz, if you substitute all the data, for example, 3 into 10 to the power 8, okay, this is for the velocity of light, c, okay, 4 into, this is 10 into 10 to the power 3, if I consider, and you calculate this calculation is giving value of around 7.5 kilometers. So basically it's imagining that the antenna site should be of 7.5 kilometer radius. You can imagine the 7.5 kilometer radius antenna. Okay, you can't imagine even. So that is not at all a possibility that we are having on store. So that's why we will need a modulation or a communication using modulation for the same. Okay, so let me just stop at this point because we already have, I think, have overshoot the time. All right, almost like that. So let us come back on next day's class and we can continue with the advantage of modulation that will be required for an AM. And finally, we will come to directly to the different types of modulation of AM, PM and FM. And if time permits, we will also start with the amplitude modulation and its generation. Okay, so hopefully this has been a little learning curve. I know these are all new to you. Some of you might completely be unaware of things which I discussed today, but hopefully I have given you some insight on the basic signal quality and the properties of signal. Okay, some of the very inherent property. Please understand that these proper properties or the parameters will be used or will be called upon in some later stage as well. So be very clear about the parameters that I discussed and also the different modes in which the transmission and the classification is happening. Please understand them carefully. If you have doubt, okay, please raise the question to me separately as I've shared my phone number as well as my mail ID or even in WhatsApp anywhere. Also, you can look into this recorded video. Also, I will upload this video in my YouTube channel as well, where you actually can go and look into it if you want for the future references. Okay, so that is it for today. We will meet again on when we have Wednesday. I think we have a class on Wednesday. We'll come back on Wednesday. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.